Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They say a brighter day is evident in the morning, and indeed is a beautiful Friday morning of 6th of September 2024. A very good morning to you and welcome to Horizon TV. This is the Muslim Insight, a show that brings to you weekly news recap as well as impactful and educative conversation. My name is Zamzam Ahmed and my sign language interpreter is Abdul Wahab Ali. But before that, let's get the headlines.
Pollution and the inequality are complex and interconnected.
Collaborative effort. Environment and Climate Change Principal Secretary has urged members of the public to collectively commit to planting and caring for trees.
My first 9 years of my life was spent in Kenya, so therefore, mashallah, it brings very old memories.
Al Khair Foundation Chairperson Imam Qasim Rashid visit Kenya for a 5-day tour.
When you go to Kenyatta, it's either you come out dead or healed. Hapo hakunanga shortcut.
And on Health is Wealth segment, we tell you about the unforeseen diseases making many live with disabilities.
Once again, thank you so much for staying here with us at Horizon TV. This is the Muslim Insight. Now on to our top stories is that a well-known British Muslim charity founder and leader, Imam Qasim Rashid, the chairman of Al Khair Foundation, have visited Kenya. Imam Rashid will be in Kenya for a 6-day tour, expected to give lectures in different capacities, including the morning lecture at the East African Humanitarian Summit at the Trademark Hotel on Friday, and later give a sermon at Parklands Mosque, with a number of activities to be carried out, including a public lecture at Adams Arcade Mosque in Ngong Road on Saturday, and Banquet Hall in Mombasa Waterfront in Mombasa County.
That, mashallah, I have seen progress of this masjid since my childhood. Now you will say, how is that possible? A person coming from UK talking about his childhood. I grew up, mashallah, in Pangani. So when I was 6 months to a year old, my parents moved to Pangani. My father was Imam of Pangani Mosque. And from 1970 till 1983, my father was here. Appointing Imam is amana. Appointing heads of organizations is amana. Likewise, passing your contribution, your zakat, your sadaqah, your donation is amana. I do not agree with the statement that we gave for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and now is up to the organization to deliver or not. No. It's your responsibility as individual and as organization to make sure that your zakat and your sadaqah reaches where it belongs to.
MashaAllah, we hope that the visit will be an impactful visit for the members of the public of Kenya, inshallah. Now moving on to other stories is that in aligning with the government's target of planting 15 billion trees by 2032, Environment and Climate Change Principal Secretary Festus Ngeno has assured Kenyans of his commitment and the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. He emphasized the dedication dedicated to this monumental effort, urging all citizens to actively participate in the initiative. By coming together and embracing the responsibility of planting and nurturing trees, the public can play a crucial role in enhancing the nation's environmental health and combating climate change.
The challenges we face today, from climate change to environmental degradation, pollution, and the inequality, are complex and interconnected. No single entity, sector, or government can address these issues in isolation. It requires a collective, purposeful action from all stakeholders, the private sector, government, civil society, and every Kenyan. This report highlights how Zamzam Kenya has embraced its collective responsibility through its initiatives in the green financing, community development, and environmental conservation. The bank is contributing to a broader national and global efforts to achieve the sustainable development goals. It is particularly heartening to hear that Zamzam has spearheaded the growth of the million trees so far and has set an ambitious target of growing 10 million by 2022, but I know with the support from Safaricom, I think we have said 10 million per year is a target. So in 10 years, we are looking at 100 million. As a State Department, I'm responsible to doing 150 million. My State Department colleague in charge of forest is supposed to be doing 3 billion, and everyone else, so that we can be able to do the 15 billion in 10 years.
And in other stories, in a bid to prevent a potential strike by doctors, Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Baraza has pledged that the Ministry of Health will work closely with the Council of Governors to honor the recently signed return to work formula. During a visit to the Council of Governors headquarters, Baraza assured that the ministry would adhere to the agreed upon timelines to avoid any further disruption in healthcare services. Council of Governors Health Committee Chairperson Muthomi Njuki emphasized the need for the ministry to ensure that doctors do not take to the streets again. Muthomi Njuki has also called for a more collaborative relationship between the council and the ministry, expressing concerns that the council is often involved only at the final stages of decision-making processes. On the topic of community health promoters, CS Baraza addressed the governor's request for a unified payment system. Currently, CHAPS are funded separately by both the national government and county governments, but Baraza indicated that the ministry consider aligning payments to streamline the process.
There has been no communication to the doctors as to whether or not the resources are still available for that collective bargaining agreement and what was agreed upon as return to work. As the ministry, CS, this should be one of your biggest tasks and the first one as a priority to address that issue.
What we had agreed with the CBA, we want to assure that the funds are there, but remember it was between July 2024 to now 2025, so we want to assure them that payment will be done within that period.
Elsewhere, Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife Rebecca Miano said that wildlife is a cornerstone of Kenya's economy, culture and identity, with safari tourism generating 90% of the sector's revenue and wildlife contributing 10% to the national GDP. She said this during her visit to the Kenya Wildlife Service KWS Law Enforcement Academy in Manyani to underscore the academy's pivotal role in preserving this invaluable resource. CS Miano highlighted the significant economic impact of wildlife, stressing its vital role in tourism and the broader economy. She praised the academy for its alignment with the Kenya Kwanza government's bottom-up economy transformative agenda better, recognizing its efforts to combat poaching, human-wildlife conflicts, and other challenges. Miano also addressed the Academy's Ranger recruits, applauding their dedication and encouraging them to embrace their roles with pride.
As you learn the hard skills of conservation, of war, of field, that you shall endeavor to learn the soft skills of good discipline, of good virtues, of honesty, and things that no school will teach you unless you take time to meditate, look around you, seek advice, read wide and deep. Because after you graduate, what will set you apart, what will make you finally become the Director General of KWS, what will finally make you become a minister in this government, is your character.
Looking at the motto of this school, that you train hard, fight easy. That is a motto you should carry as an individual in everything that you do, even after the training, the work that you will do, carry that motto with you. As you complete your training in coming months and step out as a ranger, I urge you that you do it with a sense of pride and purpose, because you will be the custodian of our natural capital, and your work will directly contribute to the prosperity of our motherland. The challenges we have ahead are significant, but I have no doubt that with what I have seen today, your young faces, by the way, you look very nice from where I am. Our country has a future.
And in other news, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a public apology for the deaths of 6 hostages in Gaza as protests and international scrutiny intensify over his handling of the ongoing crisis. The apology comes amid escalating street protests demanding accountability for the government's failure to secure the release of hostages taken by Hamas nearly 11 months ago. Protests erupted across Israel, with thousands of demonstrators voicing their frustration outside Netanyahu's residence in Jerusalem.
These protests follow a massive nationwide demonstration on Sunday, where hundreds of thousands blocked major roads, including a key highway in Tel Aviv. The situation has drawn international condemnation as well, with the UK suspending some arms sales to Israel over concerns that its military equipment might be used to breach international law. Hamas has warned that if a ceasefire agreement is not reached, more hostages could be returned in shrouds, signaling a grim outlook for the remaining 97 hostages. The militant group has also announced new instructions for their guards, further complicating the situation. In response to the crisis, Israel's largest trade union initiated a general strike, with hundreds of thousands participating to demand a ceasefire and the release of hostages. However, Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport and many local businesses reported minimal disruptions, as Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich praised the public's resilience, stating that Israelis continue their daily routines despite the political turmoil. The situation remains tense as the nation grapples with both domestic unrest and international criticism. Reporting for the Muslim Insight, my name is Yusuf Okeke.
Thank you so much, Yusuf Okeke, for that report. Now, last but not least, in our special segment today, we talk about small vessel vasculitis, a rare condition affecting both children and adults. Often begins with subtle symptoms but can escalate rapidly if left untreated. Our reporter Kasim Mustafa, in an interview with a cardiovascular expert, explains how inflammation of the blood vessels leads to reduced blood flow, causing severe complications like those faced by Elias Ngodo, an educationist who endured amputation as a result. Let's get the detailed story.
There was a slogan hapo when you go to Kenyatta is either you come out dead or healed. Hapo hakunanga shortcut.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear viewers at home, have you ever met someone who've been a patient and have lost either his or her organ? To know this and many more health stories, I'll be joining different doctors to dive into health stories. Remember, today I'll be hosting Dr. Gabala Mohsin, who will be here to tell us more about health, which is your wealth. Aside from that, I also have one of the patients who've ailed from this disease. We're going to talk about small vessel vasculitis. What is a small vessel vasculitis?
Anything in medicine which end with IT, like itis or itis, it means inflammation. Like tonsillitis, it means inflammation in the tonsil. And vasculitis, it means that it is inflammation in the vascular vessel or vascular tree. We look at the size. If the size is above 5 millimeters, it is a large vessel vasculitis. If it is between 500 micron up to 5 millimeter, it is a medium-sized. Anything below 5 micron in the vessel, it's called small vessel vasculitis.
Small vessel vasculitis is a condition that can be deceptive in its early stages. A very rare condition that affects children under 5 years old can also be found in adults, where the impact can be even more severe.
So if you have the pump in Nairobi and we giving water to even Nakuru, so the one in Nairobi still have water, but then the one in Nakuru start to have less water. The same happen in the body. So the vessel gets blocked, so it will affect the furthest part of the body, which is the toe. If you take the distance between the heart and the toe, this is the longest, because the brain is inside and it gets more blood. But the skin of the toes and the skin of the feet, this is the one which is first affected.
Dr. Gabala, a leading expert in cardiovascular health, explains that inflammation of blood vessels leads to reduced blood flow, particularly affecting the muscles, skin, and other critical areas of the body. It's a condition that demands early detection, as it can escalate quickly if left untreated.
So the thing is that it is not caused by virus, directly by virus, but it can be caused by the body itself, because the body, when it becomes attacked by bacteria or virus, it starts to give antibodies. So the immune system think that this is a foreign material. It starts to attack it and it starts to cause vasculitis.
The struggles for diagnosis and treatment for Elias Ngotho, an international educationist who found himself battling not just physical symptoms, but the emotional toll of unknown illness.
Getting admitted to Kenyatta was not easy. It was quite tough. I remember there was a slogan hapo. When you go to Kenyatta, is either you come out dead or healed. Hapo hakunanga shortcut. So when I was admitted, first of all, I was affected sana mentally, because I remember the first day people are crying. Kila mtu na uchungu yake. Huyu analia, huyu mwingine. So people are crying out loud from saa moja usiku all the way mpaka asubuhi.
They have like a predilection, which means that they like to affect the kidney more than the heart. Some other form of vasculitis, they like to affect the lung more than any other organ. There's other can go to 2 different organs at the same time, kidney and lung. So all of them, they are different types of disease and they have different names and a different treatment. But the baseline or the basic pathology of these diseases are the same. Okay. Inflammation of the small or medium-sized vessel that go into a certain area. Skin, brain, kidney, heart, whatever.
Dr. Gabala highlights the challenges in diagnosing vasculitis, particularly in adults, a case that Elias suffered from. leading to drastic measures of seeking medication.
After a span of like 3 days, I woke up one morning with a slight pain on one of my toes. I immediately consulted a local doctor in a local clinic who suggested that the condition I had was gout. And he actually diagnosed me for that. But the condition, instead of getting better, it got worse. So I decided to seek a second opinion.
If you stop the blood going to a certain organ, especially the skin, there is it will cause pain, and it will cause a change of the color. So the normal color of the skin, it will turn into red, and then it will ultimately becomes black when it dies. So the pain, the swelling, and even it can cause fever. Some doctors, they think that it could be infection, but infection is some kind of inflammation as well.
Dr. Gabala stresses that while vasculitis has no specific cure, with proper treatment, many patients can manage their symptoms and avoid such severe outcomes. However, the importance of early intervention can be overstated.
The good thing with vasculitis is always a positive thing. So God created disease and always create a cure. But when we know the cure, then it's done. Vasculitis, which affected the lung and the kidney, is called Wegener granulomatosis. So that one, we know how to treat it because once we know the mechanism, and then we start to use different drugs, and we study the group of patients, and we see which one improve, which one does not. Then we have more information and we have more success of the treatment.
Living beyond the disease, Elias' journey didn't end with amputation. It marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with challenges.
I was working as a contact center manager, but remember, at the end of the day, this is business. So looking at how things were going, I think they decided to let me go. I lost my job. It was quite a journey, but I would say at this point, the after effect of the treatment started coming in. You know, being in the house for like a month or two without moving anywhere, it becomes overwhelming. There was this shock that the toes are normal. So walking, of course, was a problem. So I had to either use a wheelchair or being carried around. And but of course, with time, it took lots of practice. With time, I got back on my feet.
A testament to the power of perseverance and the human spirit, still looks back in the face of Elias with a lot of gratitude.
When people come together, great things come out of that. And that is actually among the many things that saved me. The whole of 2020 went by, and I think it took that whole year to heal. Out of power of positivity, I am healed. The support from family, from doctors, which I'm really grateful for, and most importantly, God.
Researchers are yet to find exact medication which may stop amputation, but according to Dr. Gabala, any unusual symptoms such as rashes, muscle pain, discoloration shouldn't be ignored with healthy sleep, healthy and good exercise, as well as healthy food may save you from this.
What happens is that when the inflammation starts to happen, it will give the symptoms which we call ischemia. Ischemia, as I told you, it will be fever, inflammation in the toes, swollen toes, and redness until it gets black. And then the tissue starts to die. Once the tissue starts to die, it's too late. We can't do anything. We have to amputate to take out this bad tissue because it can affect the whole body.
It's always good to take a health cover, because for me, I would say it is the medical cover that came through for me, which catered for most of the bills. The cost was quite high. I remember it was almost $500,000, but of course the medical cover took care of most part of that.
General advice, if we take that one in the beginning, so eat well, sleep well, do exercise, all these things promote your immune system and promote your health.
Thank you so much, Daktari. It was such a nice interactive session, and we look forward to be doing this and many more about defects and diseases that may be affecting our viewers back at home. To you back at home, my beloved viewers, as you've been told, your health is your wealth. Eat well, sleep well, and your immune system will be boosted. Until next time, my name is Kasim Mustafa.
MashaAllah, eat well, live well. This special segment named Health is Wealth aims at educating you on matters of health, the different types of diseases different people ail from, the effects, the diagnosis, and among other important details. Thank you so much, Kasim Mustafa, for the detailed report on matters of health, on matters of small vessel vasculitis. And with that report, we end our first segment of the Muslim Insight. Stay tuned for the second segment as we dive in to discuss or do the Friday Bulletin review.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Kuna faida gani twapata tukimjua Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
nabii mwenye ushawishi mkubwa duniani?
Tukizikwa tukitiwa kaburini, tutaulizwa haya maswali matatu: man rabbuk, ma dinuk, man nabiyuk.
Sheikh Jamaluddin anakupa simulizi.
Huwezi kumpenda mtu usiyemjua
na kutambua sunna zake,
lakini ukimjua na ukimtambua Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mapenzi yako yatazidi.
Ufahamu Rasulullah, familia na maswahaba wake. Tazama sira ya Mtume kila Jumatatu saa 1 jioni kwenye Horizon TV. Katika kipindi kijacho,
tuelewane vizuri, utakapokufa ila hali uko katika shirki ndiyo hausamehewi dhambi, lakini unapokuwa katika shirki na uko hai na ukatubie bado uko hai na ukachana na ile shirki, Allah anakusamea. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jamia. Shirki ambayo kwamba haisamehewi ni wewe umekufa na ila hali bado una sifa ambayo kwamba ya kuendelea kufanya shirki. Na mambo ya shirki ni mengi: kuchinja asokuwa Allahu azza wa jalla, kumsujudia asokuwa Mwenyezi Mungu subhanahu wa ta'ala, kuenda na kuwadiriki na kuwakubali waganga na wachawi ni shirki. Wale ni washirikina, wao wanaabudu majini, wana majini yao wamewapatia oda, wewe unaenda unamkubali. Ndio Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam akasema, mwenye ambaye kwamba tamkubali Arafa. Arafa ni hawa sampuli za waganga na wachawi, swala yake haitakabaliwi siku 40.
Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
إن الذين يرمون المحصنات الغافلات المؤمنات لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون يومئذ يوفيهم الله دينهم الحق ويعلمون أن الله هو الحق المبين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
Enyi mlioamini, munapoitwa kuhudhuria swala ya Ijumaa, fanyeni haraka kuikimbilia, muache biashara zenu, hilo ni bora ikiwa mwelewa.
Isikilizeni kwa umakinifu khutba ya Ijumaa
ili uzidi kujenga imani yako na kupata faida nyingi ya siku hii.
Coming to you every Friday from Jamia Mosque Nairobi.
Live on Horizon TV.
Uislamu ni dini yenye mpangilio ulio kamili na taratibu zake humpa fursa kila mja kuifahamu na kuelewa.
Muislamu yoyote lazima achukue jukumu la kuifahamu dini yake, kuanzia kwenye shahada ashhadu, nakiri kwa moyo,
kisha usafi wa kimwili.
Hapo ndipo huanza safari ya kumwabudu Mola wake.
Usikose kujiunga nasi kila siku ya Jumamosi live kwenye kipindi Ufahamu Uislamu, ili ujifunze mengi usiyojua kutoka Horizon TV.
Tazama ukumbi wa fiqh kwenye Horizon TV. Halal, haram, sunna, wajib, makruh, mubah, ili upate kujua ahkam za ibada kwenye Horizon TV.
On the next episode,
you don't just give a poor or a needy 100 bob, 100 shilling, or 10,000 shillings without understanding their needs, okay, and bringing them to the level of sufficiency.
Kitabu chenye uongofu kilichoteremshwa kwa mpangilio maalum.
Sura ikiitwa Madania inamaanisha iliteremshwa Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam alipokuwa kwa Madina.
Kila sura imepewa jina rasmi na sababu zake za kimsingi.
Inaitwa Suratun Nisa'il Kubra, sura ya wanawake kubwa.
Fahamu sababu za kuteremshwa Qur'an na matukio ya kipekee katika utaratibu huu.
Asema Mwenyezi Mungu wa Nuha, nakumbukeni kisa cha Nuh, tulipomlingania kabla, tukamjibu yale mambo aliyoyaomba, tukawa ni wenye kumwokoa yeye na ahli yake.
Ungana na Profesa Muhammad Salim Badamana katika malengo ya Qur'an kila siku ya Jumapili saa 11 kamili jioni katika Horizon TV.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
Ninasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان انتهى.
Ile kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu alimfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
Thabbit qulubana ala dinik wa ala ta'atik.
Gana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika Horizon TV, runinga uipendayo.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying here with us at Horizon TV. This is the second segment whereby we engage ourselves in conversation. And today's topic of discussion is the Friday Bulletin Review. We are going to review the Friday Bulletin, And in studio, I'm not alone. I am joined by Sheikh Salim Charo, who will put more insight on the Friday Bulletin. There are so many stories in this Friday Bulletin. There are push for unified educating funding against support from religious leaders. We've seen that Saudi Deputy Ambassador had visited Kenya. We can see Muslim organization in campaign against cataracts, Attorney General orders, submission of marriage certificates, and more others. And with that, let me introduce my guest so that we can start the conversation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's been long. Yeah, it has really been long. Welcome back.
Shukran, jazakumullah.
MashaAllah. So today we are doing the Friday Bulletin Review. And on our front page, we can see that, let's start with the Saudi Deputy Ambassador bidding farewell to Kenya. Maybe what was the reason of his visit to Kenya? And again, what impact has he made to the people of Kenya?
I think, number one, he was a deputy ambassador, so he's been serving here as a deputy ambassador. And I think they've done a lot, especially when it comes to relations of Kenya-Saudi and some of the programs that Saudi do here in the country.
Okay.
And I think, and the most recent, and I suppose that he's been very vocal when it comes to the opening of the new is it council in Jeddah. Yeah, because we've had a Kenyan embassy in Riyadh, and that had been a bit challenging for Kenyans, especially for the pilgrims who will go for pilgrims. It was a bit challenging for them to, get some of the services from the Kenyan embassy. But due to the opening of the new council, I believe things are going to flow now for the business people, and as well as matters to do with Hajj.
So it's a bilateral relations.
Yeah,
that is really amazing. Yeah. Let's move to other story in the second page. We can see that Attorney General orders submission of marriage certificates. What would that mean, and what would people gain from submitting their marriage certificates? Okay,
no, this one specifically with the licensed marriage officers.
Okay.
And I'm one also. So what happens is that for the registered marriages, there is after any registration of marriage or after solemnizing a marriage, so this is where the registration starts, and then the couple are issued with the marriage certificate, and thereafter there are some copies that remain that are supposed to be taken back to the registrar of marriage, which happens to be under the Attorney General's office. So all this needs to be documented in the to be documented with the government. And I think this is what the Attorney General was calling for. Yes.
I know we skipped the front page, the first story, on matters dealing with education funding. We can see that the topic there is push for unified education funding gains support from religious leader.
Yeah, I think this is long overdue. I think one of my presentations here, I ever brought up this issue. And because we've seen how bursaries are being allocated. Yeah, and they've been politicized a lot at the expense of those needy and deserving families. And this is the high time, if the government is really in need of helping those in need, so they should come up with a kit, with a fund, whatever, whether it's HELB or any other entity, where any needy family could just go and have the services, you know, without whatever we experience. Most of the time, you know, you are asked for the voter's card because the area MP is issuing the bursaries, and sometimes from the MCA, and you know, so many. So I think they just should allocate a specific amount to a specific fund where needy families will be issued or will be supported when it comes to matters education.
It's kind of hectic, maybe, to identify those people to give these funds. And talking about religious leader, it seems like these are like the Supreme Council of Kenya. We can see there is CIPK, and on page 2, the same thing. It says SUPKEM CIPK supports plan to consolidate bursary. Perhaps, maybe on your end, what are the plans of SUPKEM CIPK? Like, these are the religious leader. Are they planning to give bursaries to the students, or?
No, this was a call from SUPKEM and CIPK to the government, asking the government to consolidate and bring the bursary together, not in the current state of affairs, how it is operating.
So in one bucket?
In one bucket, countrywide. And it will be easy to identify those families. We have the Nyumba Kumi, the wazes of Nyumba Kumi, we have assistant chief, we have chiefs, and as well as religious leaders. And they are able to identify those needy families and submit their names, and they can be assisted.
But in this world, or rather in this country, we find that even religious leaders from Mashinani, let's talk about Mashinani, these are the people who are making it hard, because nobody wouldn't want to benefit, nobody wouldn't want to get the benefits of the bursary for their kids. What could you tell them?
I think generally, they say in every market there is, that's a Swahili saying, there's a mad person. Yeah, and definitely you wouldn't, it's not something new that you wouldn't expect. You know, there are people who would have conflict of interest, and there are people who are really in need. But I think if you come from a religious organization, I think you should be the first person with integrity. You know, even if where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to be just, even if it's even against our own selves. So I think this is the time where we need to identify those who are really in need and put it in a good use. Yeah, let's submit the names of those who really deserve it, not based on, you know, clanism, favoritism, and whatever, you know, means that people use. Let's shun all that and just give those who really deserve.
Mashallah. To other stories, we can see that on page 2, Muslim organizations in campaigns against contracts.
Yeah, this was an initiative that was done in, I think, one of the areas in Garissa and other areas, and I think this is kind of a condition that affects mostly the elderly, and in some instances some people, but it makes someone to have blurry vision, but eventually if it can be it's a medical condition, so it can be taken care of whereby if treated, yeah, these people can be assisted. But if it's left untreated, then eventually it can lead to blindness.
Okay.
So, and I think it's kind of a good initiative, because some of those receiving this, some of those who are receiving this are people who are unable to go to hospital and find this kind of treatment. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to get some insight of different stories, because there are so many stories here that we need to tackle, but at least let's look at some. And on page, what page is this? You can see, afraid of telling family about your conversion, here is what to do. We find that there are so many non-Muslims who convert to Islam. And the challenges they normally face is telling their family about their conversion, not even about the things that they can do while they are in Islam, what they should do, what to avoid, and so many things. But they are only afraid of telling their families about their conversion. What can they do?
Yeah, I think it's a good article by Aisha Stacy.
Yeah.
And I think this is based on the stereotyping and profiling of Muslim that we've experienced over times through the contemporary media and so on. But with all this, and when you for non-Muslims, when they hear Islam, they see all sort of negative things. Talk of terrorism, talk of black magic, and so on and so forth. But when you get to a point where now you have your kin, a very close person to you, and then they tell you that they have converted. These are some of the things that you envision. Either a potential terrorist or eventually a witchcraft. So and this is what makes people to be afraid. Considering now, because if I was one and a Muslim and then I convert, I know the stereotyping and profiling that I had, and the negative things that we have heard about Islam. But eventually when I convert, so I know what my family knows or what they think about it. So it becomes that challenging to tell you now today I'm one of the Muslims. So it becomes that challenging. But I think one of the things, you should not go there expecting them to give you a red carpet reception since you've converted to Islam. You should expect all kind of reactions. And it has never been easy for revertees. There are those who have gone to an extent where they've been chased away from families, they've been excommunicated from their families and communities and so on. So, and that's why in some instances we find them, begging and, seeking for assistance. Sometimes we think it's a habit or, they are faking. But in real sense, most of them experience such things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're talking about expecting all these expectations.
Yes.
Maybe, does it mean that we should still like have that, maintaining the family ties?
Exactly. Number one, in fact, the reaction that you should expect is for them not to accept you. That's number one. Yeah. But secondly, for them to be positive, show them that Islam changed you. So because if you show them anything positive about Islam, that it will be a shock on them. It's something what they did not expect. So, and that would even soften their hearts to an extent where now they can start accepting you as their own. And eventually when you are positive about Islam and through your actions and deeds, eventually they'll accept you and they'll know this is not the Islam we've been hearing about.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you talked about you being a revertee,
Yeah.
Mashallah, that is
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yes.
But no one can tell that you are a Rivati.
Yes.
You see? Maybe could you like tell us your experience so that for a better understanding of
Okay. At some point I thought
no
problem.
Like it.
I'll
Okay.
Okay, I reverted to Islam in 1997, and the reception was not that good because we've been living in a kind of it was kind of a mixed neighborhood, Muslim and Christians, but I think Muslims were more vocal, and but eventually they were known for negative reasons, you know, and you know, for me to go and say that you know, I'm a Muslim, I've converted, you know, it was not well received. You know, I faced a bit of challenges, you know, like even you know, studying, it was a bit challenging. So until I proved to them that yeah, I'm a changed person. I'm not the kind of person that you knew before. Yeah, so I had some long hair and I had to cut them short. When I was asked, I told them, no, Islam does not allow this kind of, you know, and a lot of things. And it, eventually, I think within like 6 months, I was now officially accepted by the family. I remember even when I went to study, because eventually my ma'alim took me to Madrasa Al-Furqan, and when I studied there for the first semester, and then when I returned, so and they looked at me and they were like, at that point now, that's the point where now my father accepted and started even supporting me now with my studies and so on. So even I remember even at some point I had refused to continue with my studies, and my father had you know, said, okay, there's no way I will support you in that, but eventually he came and supported me, and you know, despite him not being a Muslim to the last minute. So and they accepted me, and my entire family accepts me now as a Muslim.
Yes. That is really amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that is something that people are really facing, those reverts. They are really facing this challenge of telling their family about their conversion. And talking about this, we find that so many reverts are eager to know the religion. Yeah? But it's unfortunate that those people who are born Muslims, they tend not to get the knowledge of Islam, most of them. What could be the reason, and what advice could you give them?
Number one, the reason is that, you know, I'm born, now an example, I'm born a Muslim. So Islam is my religion, is our religion, is our family's religion. Okay. So why should I study anything and I know everything? And you know, in the contrast, you see a person who reverts to Islam is really much interested and wants to know more about Islam. And I think that's what I had. So I started, you know, the Islamic Monotheism by Bilal Phillips. And eventually, I studied, and I just joined Madrasa and like that. And eventually, I joined Al-Furqan, and that's where I was able now to study and now have a understanding of Islam. And I think this is more important, especially to the revertees. They should study to know and understand the religion. Yeah, once you understand your religion, no one will come and intimidate you. Because you'll find most revertees, you know, whenever they come, they are like, you know, I converted. And I don't see it as a big deal, just say Alhamdulillah, because even Abu Bakr or Umar, you know, they converted to Islam. You know, the rest are the ones who are born in Islam. But, you know, this is what makes, you know, and they are the best of this ummah. You know, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, they all reverted to Islam. They converted to Islam during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think due to time limitation, we're gonna end the session there. And thank you so much for coming here, for making your time to be here. And I'm really happy to see you, because it's been a while. It's been a while not seeing you. Alhamdulillah.
Shukran, Jazakillah khair. Thank you for invitation. Inshallah.
You're really welcome. Looking to see you next time, inshallah. And back to you, our viewers. That was all for today. Make sure that you get your copy of the Friday Bulletin and get to be on the know of what is currently happening in the Muslim community. Until next Friday, same place, same time, inshallah. My name is Zamzam Ahmed. Have a blessed weekend.